Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker was in Siren today to offer some information on spring fire prevention following a very dry winter and last year's blowdown. He looked at fire equipment and answered questions from people in the audience.
Last year we came up here the first time to take a look at the wind blow last summer. We certainly saw a tremendous amount of damage, more than 130,000 acres. Great concern to local officials, to our tribal leaders all throughout this region, to counties and towns, and to the state as a whole. And this has an impact first and foremost on public safety. Wanted to make sure that we took care of the right-of-ways, and so a lot of work was done in collaboration between state and local government and between the private sector and private landowners, and we appreciate that kind of collaboration. Because of having a winter that wasn't nearly as filled with snow and as cold as we've had in the past, that's been good for a lot of reasons. Certainly was good throughout the fall in helping clear some of the areas where the wind blow was the most damaging, but it also means that it's even graver concerns when it comes to fire and the impact that could have in the areas affected by the wind blow last year. And so today we're here to draw attention, not only to get an update, but specifically draw attention. And we've got the signs posted all over that the DNR and others are putting up, but the emergency burning restrictions. The simple answer is, if you've got anything that has a flame to it, the answer is no. And that starts effective midnight tonight. I think this is something that's not about just the government imposing restrictions, but I think overwhelmingly for people who have seen the impact of the wind blow, who've experienced fires in the past, and this and other parts nearby understand just how important it is to enforce this and to have this on a continual basis, to have no campfires, no combustibles, no other, even to the point of asking people not to go out and smoke on their porch and be anywhere in a position where you're going to put flames in the way of really very tender opportunities for fire damage that could very easily get out of control.
Do you feel comfortable with the measures that are being taken? Do you think that the public safety is being met?
Yeah, I do. I think you've got a great build-up in terms of the amount of equipment that's here. A number of questions were asked that before. You've got good partnerships both with Minnesota as well as in rare case even with opportunities not only from Minnesota but from Canada. We've got aerial equipment here. We've got partnerships with the National Guard if need be. You've got a dramatic increase in the amount of equipment that's available for fighting fires here. But let that not be in any way a false confidence that just because there's a lot of equipment here that means that people don't need to take these restrictions seriously.
Is this going to cost the state extra some of these?
There's actually a fund that the state has administered through the DNR that's specifically for fire emergencies. In the past it's been rarely used, and typically in the response to an emergency. In this case, the DNR, I think wisely, after having spent a lot of time up here assessing what's been going on, has recommended invoking that up front. And so that's where they're able to bring in. It has an impact of about $1 million worth of an impact in terms of drawing on that to provide the kind of equipment we need to make sure that we're fully prepared here.
Yeah, it's clear that there's still a lot of blowdown, and in Douglas County, like near Wascott, you drive on some of those county roads, it's bad. How is the government going to help solve that problem, basically? Can you just be more specific about that?
Yeah, well, a couple of things. Part of for example, even last year, not only working with local governments, but last year when I came up, Senator Jauch joined with me, we saw members of the National Guard I deployed in the 724th Engineering Battalion that came up there and actually took over the responsibility in major portions of Burnett and Douglas County to help with the right-of-way, to clear the right-of-way along local roads. That benefit was not only to help there and help from a public safety standpoint, it relieved the pressure on the private sector in terms of industry to go in and then spend their time helping private landowners clear on the sites that they have available. There's much more work to be done. Part of it is not only a collaboration with the timber industry, but as we heard earlier today, you even got a fair number of folks in the timber industry from other parts of the state who are coming up here to help with that. It's important, obviously, depending on the different type of forest product you're talking about, there's varying ways that they can use that, but there's still going to be a tremendous effort And as part of this overall strategy, even in reaching out, in particular to a lot of seasonal property owners, the folks coming over from the Twin Cities, to whether it's the northern tip of Polk County, whether it's almost all of Burnett County, which is affected by this order, or portions of Washburn and Douglas County. We've been doing mailings to property owners and others to make sure they know first and foremost about the public safety issue and abide by this burn rule, and then along the way try to help them get connected to ways that they can clear their property.
It seems like if you are a private property owner and you've got a bunch of blowdown on your property, you know, is it the government's duty to be more aggressive with them to get, you know, because if that catches, you know, you're endangering other property owners, you know, does the government need to be more aggressive in getting that out of there, basically? Because there's still a lot of it.
Well, I think across the board, again, part of it is trying to relieve the pressure on loggers and others in the industry so that we're taking care of public spaces with right-of-ways, both along roads and even working with the co-ops and the others for utility lines, so that the private loggers, the private industry and the loggers in particular can help clear those spaces. That's part of the partnership of where it's created out there. Certainly it's not directly the role of the government to remove that, nor would property owners argue for that, but that, again, that's one of the advantages of the state that we're in with such a strong timber industry. As a number of people have pointed out, in other states, the state would have to pay to get this out of the way, and people in general would have to pay for it because of a very comprehensive industry that we have in the state when it comes to timber, and particularly forest products. There's a good market out there, and there are people who are willing and capable to get that out and make money off of that. And so we need to help make that possible. But in the meantime, there's enough time to do that. There's an ability to do that. A lot of this wind blow that's down can still be harvested throughout the spring and into the summer, depending on the type of trees you're talking about. We can do that, but that obviously all goes away if someone creates a major fire in the area, which is not just a public safety risk. It would completely undermine that ability to make success out of something that otherwise would be a failure.
Are we going to treat in the logging industry any different? We certainly want to capture all the wood fiber we can, but we don't want to be causing fires to burn up everything either. So
right.
Before, when fire went to extreme, red flag flew, we got out of the wood. Because of all the fuel wood laying on the ground, are we going to handle that any different? Or have we thought about any of that? Or when the fire danger gets extreme in the blowdown area, are we going to have to back off? Or how are we going to handle that?
Well, I think, again, we're going to treat this very seriously because I think with the amount that we have on the ground, you know, first and foremost has got to be public safety. I mean, it goes to the point of why there's so much equipment here, and I think that's something we're going to work with the communities effective and with the people working, those working in the log industry and others who would be out in the field to make sure that more than anything, ultimately we're protecting public safety and lives and ultimately keeping people away from not only risking their lives, but any sort of bodily injury. That to us is paramount. Everything else is secondary to that. And again, that's why, again, I can't stress enough why it's so important for people to abide by these restrictions.
A very early fire season. Is the DNR ready? I mean, it could be one for the record books, honestly, just because of the drought we've had this winter and all the blowdown. It's not a good equation. Are they ready?
It absolutely could be. It reminds me of one other thing. We've got a great partnership with the state of Minnesota, particularly with their equivalent of the Department of Natural Resources. Even in talking about equipment, I mentioned before in terms of why we have this, and they have helicopters done jointly so that it's done in collaboration so that we can be of help to them and they can be of help to us. But I sound like a broken record, but this is the bottom line. It's why we can't stress this enough. If you want to fight fires, the best and easiest way, the safest way to do it is not to have it happen in the first place.